I am. I have talked to other guests about ChatGPT and AI and its implications in the workplace, but you've covered it and its involvement in sports. What can you tell us?
Well, everyone's absolutely scared about this. Professors in schools are afraid ChatGPT is going to write the essays for their students. Journalists are afraid that they're going to lose their job. Even like advertising agencies think that ChatGPT could be more creative than they are. And in sports, it's been around for a while. Are you familiar with Moneyball?
I have seen the Brad Pitt movie, but I was going to ask you about that comparison. How did they use predictive analysis and explain its implications from today?
Well, it was really interesting. Billy Beane, who was played by Brad Pitt in Moneyball, many years ago had an idea, and he was the general manager of the Oakland Athletics. And Billy Beane said, well, I think stats are a better way to determine whether a player should be drafted or traded for, as opposed to just the intuition of these managers and scouts that are like baseball insiders. So he took a few little pieces of data like batting percentage, on base percentage, slugging percentage, and he used those to draft and make trades. And with a $44 million salary payroll, he was able to favorably compete with like the New York Yankees with a $125 million payroll. So the owner of the club, Lou Wolf, was like super excited about it. In fact, Lou told me personally, when I let Billy Beane do this, people thought I was absolutely nuts. Now, fast forward to today, instead of a few pieces of data to go on, machine learning, AI, chat GPT, and those kinds of things can allow millions of pieces of data to be processed within seconds, minutes for sure, but within seconds. So you have so much more information to make your decisions on. And this whole idea of predictive analysis has come to the forefront in every single sport.
And can you dive deeper into that? I want to know how AI is being used specifically in the sports world.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, everyone's familiar with, when a pitcher gets yanked from a game. So the manager goes out and they talk about pitch count. Well, they're doing predictive analysis around when they should make that change and who to bring in from the bullpen. Now, human beings are involved in that, but because you see the manager going out, but all the behind the scenes is being done by computer analysis, by machine learning. Look at football. The quarterback has a radio in his helmet. He's getting plays called to him from upstairs. But there's predictive analysis going into, hey, what kind of a defense is there? What kind of play should we call? What has the greatest chance of success? The NFL has a deal with Amazon, and it's a machine learning partnership. And they do predictive analysis around various types of plays. And they're being used in part as a fan engagement tool, but you can see the implications are really amazing as to where it could go.
Is AI being used in sports for good, or is this almost like towing the line of cheating?
I wouldn't say it's cheating. In the NBA, for example, you're seeing computer scientists who are running the AI programs going into the personnel department, which is unheard of. In fact, the Dallas Mavericks last year had a big tiff internally because there was a computer scientist who supposedly had greater pull with Mark Cuban than the scouts and the general manager in terms of who to draft, in terms of who to trade for. So I think the implications, though, are really extraordinary. I mean, if you want me to take you to the ultimate implication, I certainly am happy to do that.
Of course, walk us through. What do you think that ultimate implication is going to be?
Well, just think of it like this. You've heard of direct to consumer, right? In direct to consumer, you cut out the middleman. Well, I call this direct to computer. So the owner of the team is going to cut out a lot of middlemen. Middlemen could be the general manager. Middleman could be the scout. Ultimately, the middleman could be the coach. So think about it like this. Brittany is the owner of the team. Instead of walking around with a scout on one side of her, with a general manager on the other side of her, she's walking around with R2D2. R2D2 is right next to you. And you're saying, R2D2, who do I draft? And he runs through millions of prognostications based on machine learning, and he tells you who to draft. You ask him who to trade for. Who do I put around LeBron James to make him a better player? Millions of data points are analyzed. Makes a recommendation to you. Clearly, the Lakers hadn't done a great job of doing that over the past 2 years. So you're glad, Brittany, that you have R2D2. And think about it at the ultimate level. The coach at the end of the bench. You send R2D2 down to the bench. He sits on the bench. He looks at the defense. He decides which players to play. He looks at the situation. He decides who to substitute. At the end of the game, Brittany, you're 1 point behind. Guess what happens? R2D2 calls the perfect play. But you know what happens? LeBron James says, no, I'm not going to do that play. I'm going to do my own play. And he goes out and he scores anyway. So who knows what's going to happen, but it's going to be really fun.
You know, if I was sitting here right now as a GM or a scout, I wouldn't really like hearing what you have to say.